I found out my wife cheated on me not just once, but with an entire production crew, while I thought she was chasing her Hollywood dream. Turns out, she was chasing something else entirely. And it all started with a goddamn call from Netflix. Welcome to Confession Reddit, the place where truth burns hotter than betrayal. If you've ever doubted the one you love, maybe the story will make you trust your gut next time. Hit subscribe so you never miss another real confession. Let's get into it. I met Emily 6 years ago in Santa Monica. She was walking her dog, some tiny poodle thing wearing a designer sweater that probably cost more than my monthly rent, and I was just some sweaty guy jogging off a hangover. I made a joke about the dog being more stylish than me, and she laughed, this sharp, melodic laugh that stuck with me for days. We went for coffee later that afternoon. I swear, from that very first espresso, I was already halfway in love. She told me she was an aspiring actress, just waiting for her big break. I didn't think much of it at the time. This is LA. Every barista, waitress, and dog walker has a script in their purse. But Emily had something different. She had this fierce fire in her, this undeniable magnetism that made people lean in, including me, especially me. Fast forward a few years and we were married. I'd landed a stable job in tech consulting, enough to support both of us while she chased auditions and worked part-time gigs in local theater. Our life wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. We had routines, inside jokes, a Sunday tradition of wine and grilled cheese with reruns of Seinfeld. I loved that simple life. I thought she did too. Everything changed when she got the call. It was a Tuesday, and I was working from home. I remember it clearly because she came into the kitchen practically vibrating with energy. She said, "They want me for a project, Netflix, a U.S. production team working on a Squid Game spin-off. They're filming in Austin." I was stunned, but I smiled and hugged her like the supportive husband I believed I was. I remember whispering, "This is it, Em. This is your moment." I meant it, every damn word. She left for Texas 2 weeks later, said she'd be gone for about 2 months. I helped her pack, booked her flight, kissed her goodbye at the airport. She promised to FaceTime every night, and at first she did. For a while it was fun. She'd send behind-the-scenes photos, shots of weird props and makeup chairs. She even showed me some of the crew. There was a director named Julian, a few writers, one guy with bleached hair who handled wardrobe. Then, slowly, the calls became shorter, then skipped, then only texts. "Long day," she'd say, or "exhausted, can't talk tonight." I tried to be understanding. This was her big shot, after all. Who was I to complain? But there was one thing that kept gnawing at me. A feeling. It started with a selfie. It wasn't nothing scandalous, just Emily at some rooftop bar, drink in hand, laughing into the camera. But behind her, blurry in the background, was a man's hand on her waist. Not holding, not gripping, but resting. Familiar, like it had done that a dozen times before. I asked about it casually. She brushed it off. "That's just one of the assistant producers. He's gay," she said, with a little shrug. "Don't be paranoid, babe." Paranoid. That word always stings when it's used against you. Like your feelings are just flaws, like your gut is lying to you. So I dropped it. I didn't want to be that guy, the clingy husband who couldn't handle his wife getting some success. But I started paying attention. And what I found? Well, it tore my world apart. It started when I noticed the background sounds in her calls. I know, it sounds crazy, but sometimes I could hear laughter, multiple voices, male voices outside her hotel room. Once I swore I heard someone say her name and laugh. She said it was just crew banter, that they were all tight-knit, like a family. But families don't whisper at 2 a.m. behind closed doors. Families don't leave hickeys you try to hide with a hoodie when visiting home for a surprise weekend. Yeah, that happened. Emily flew back unexpectedly on a Sunday, saying she had a few days off. I was ecstatic. I planned dinner, cleaned the apartment, even bought her favorite wine. But the moment she walked in the door, I knew something was off. She was distracted, cold. Her hugs were stiff, her smile forced. When I leaned in to kiss her neck, I saw it, barely visible under her hairline, a small bruise. She froze when I noticed, said it was from a prop during a stunt rehearsal. I didn't press her, but that night, while she showered, I opened her suitcase. I know it was wrong, but I had to know. I needed proof that I wasn't crazy. Inside, I found a folded piece of hotel stationery. No name, no signature, just a scrawled message in Sharpie. Last night was insane. Can't wait to run that scene again in private. Jing.
The next morning, I called in sick to work. I couldn't focus. I couldn't think straight. Emily was in the kitchen, making eggs like everything was normal, humming to herself like my entire world hadn't just cracked open. I watched her from the hallway, memorizing every movement, every blink. Was she always this good at pretending? Had I just been blind? I didn't ask her about the note. Not yet. I needed more. Needed certainty. I wasn't going to throw away 7 years over a Sharpie and a smirk. So I did what any desperate man with a Wi-Fi connection and a breaking heart would do. I started digging. First, I searched for the production team online. The project she was working on was called Red Light, supposedly a dark American retelling of the Squid Game format. No public trailers yet, but IMDb had a skeleton cast and crew list. I scanned the names looking for Julian, the director she mentioned. Found him. Julian Cross. Mid-40s, film school hotshot turned Netflix darling. Married, 2 kids. Seemed clean, for now. Then I found the assistant producer she said was gay. His name was Connor Blake. Instagram full of shirtless beach pics and BTS reels of the shoot. Okay, maybe he really was gay. Maybe she wasn't lying about that part. But then I hit gold. Or maybe it was acid. A TikTok video from a background actor on set. Harmless stuff at first. A day in the life showing the catering table, people rehearsing lines, crew setting up lights. But halfway through the video, there was a flash. A few seconds of Emily, sitting in a director's chair, laughing. Not at the camera, at someone off to the side. Then that someone stepped into frame. Not fully, just part of him, but I saw the edge of his face. Julian, standing behind her, leaning in, whispering something. Her laugh, God, that laugh, was different, flirtatious, intimate, the kind of laugh you give someone when you're alone, even if there are people around. I screen recorded the clip, watched it a dozen times. It could have meant nothing, but it didn't feel like nothing. That night, I brought up Julian casually. So is he cool to work with? Emily looked up from her phone, blinked like I'd interrupted something private. Julian? Yeah, intense, demanding, but he knows what he's doing. Seems like a guy people listen to. She hesitated. Yeah, why? Just wondering how close you guys are. I saw a TikTok. You were laughing with him. A beat. She didn't flinch. She smiled. People post everything these days, huh? Then she changed the subject. Asked me if I wanted Thai food. I didn't push it. Not then. But I was already past the point of no return. Over the next few days, I installed software on her laptop. I told myself it was only temporary. Just until I could either find proof or kill the suspicion. Just long enough to breathe again. I found encrypted folders, password-protected archives labeled with things like final edits and script v3. But then I found one folder buried deep inside her downloads. It was simply titled Private. I cracked it using her birthday. Inside were screenshots, selfies, a few videos. One of them started with her voice, "This is for you, in case you forget me while I'm gone." Then came footage of her lying on a bed, same hotel wallpaper I'd seen in her other photos, wearing lingerie I'd never seen before. The camera was angled from a table, clearly set up intentionally. But she wasn't alone. Julian's voice came in from behind the camera. "Smile for me, Emmy." She did. Then he stepped into frame. I stopped the video there. I couldn't watch. I couldn't breathe. I left the apartment that night. I don't even remember where I drove, just miles of empty highway and screaming silence. My hands trembled so hard I could barely keep the wheel straight. When I finally came back, she was asleep, or pretending to be. The next morning, she was gone. No note, no explanation, just a message on my phone that read, "Production called me back early. Emergency reshoot. I'll explain later. Love you." Love me? She had no idea I knew. And I wasn't going to tell her yet. Not until I understood just how deep this betrayal went, not until I understood why. I took a few days off and flew to Austin. She didn't know I was coming.
I landed in Austin on a Friday afternoon, the heat slapping my face the moment I stepped out of the terminal. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I didn't even bring a proper suitcase, just a backpack with a change of clothes, a toothbrush, and my anger packed tight like dynamite, ready to blow. I rented a car and drove straight to the production site listed on the crew's online page. It was a converted warehouse outside the city, surrounded by chain-link fences and huge black trailers parked like chess pieces. Security was tight, but I didn't care. I parked down the block, waited for a few hours in the heat, watching cast and crew go in and out. Around 6:45 p.m., I saw her. Emily. Her hair was pulled up, and she was wearing a black production hoodie and sunglasses, even though the sun was nearly down. She was laughing. Of course she was laughing. And walking beside her, close, too close, was Julian. They didn't touch, but the way they leaned in, the way their bodies swayed in sync like they'd done it 100 times before, it made my jaw tighten until I felt something snap inside me. I didn't go to her. I didn't shout her name or charge in like some pathetic hero in a Lifetime movie. Instead, I took pictures. I zoomed in and captured everything. The way she looked at him, the way he smirked at her like he knew something no one else did. I needed evidence. Proof. Maybe not for a courtroom, but for my own soul. That night, I checked into a motel and barely slept. The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a local PI. His name was Marcus, a gruff, no-nonsense guy who'd seen it all. I gave him the names, the details, everything. He didn't even blink. "Cheating in the film business?" he said. "Buddy, you'd be surprised how often I get calls like this." For the next 3 days, Marcus followed them. Sent me photos, voice recordings, even a blurry video of them entering the same hotel room after midnight and not leaving until morning. He didn't charge extra for the video. "Consider it a bonus," he said. The moment I watched that grainy footage, everything went numb. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the realization that she didn't even bother hiding it anymore. She thought I was clueless. She thought I was home in LA, working and folding laundry, believing in her dream while she fucked her director in a hotel suite paid for by Netflix. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but Marcus told me to wait. "You want to hit her with the truth," he said. "Do it clean, do it smart, make sure she can't wiggle out of it." So I waited, let him dig deeper. And what he found next blew everything wide open. Emily wasn't just sleeping with Julian. She was also involved with another member of the crew, a Korean cameraman named Dae. There were texts, receipts, even a whisper from a production assistant who said she once walked in on them rehearsing in a locked storage room. Emily was playing them both. Maybe more. Maybe the whole damn team. Marcus even joked, maybe it's part of the show. But I didn't laugh. I couldn't. The woman I loved, the woman I married and supported and believed in, had become a stranger wrapped in lies and lipstick. I felt stupid. I felt sick. But more than anything, I felt like something inside me had cracked and was never going to fit the same again. I drove back to the set that night. I waited until I saw her walk out alone, holding a script and sipping coffee like nothing had happened. I stepped in front of her. Her face went pale. "What are you doing here?" she whispered. "That's a good question, but I think a better one is, which one of them do you actually love? Julian? Dae? Or is it just the idea of being adored by people who aren't me?"
She looked around like someone might be watching. "Not here," she hissed. "Let's go talk somewhere else." "No, we're talking now. You've been cheating on me, Emily, with your director, with your fucking cameraman. I've got pictures, videos. Don't insult me by lying." Her lips parted, but no words came out. She didn't deny it, didn't cry, just stood there hollow and stunned like someone who'd been caught but wasn't quite sorry yet. "You followed me? You stalked me?" "I trusted you," I snapped, "and you turned our marriage into a joke. I gave up years of my life for you, and you couldn't even stay loyal for 2 damn months?" She blinked fast. Her hands trembled. "It wasn't supposed to happen this way. Julian, he listened to me. He believed in me. You don't understand what it's like to be ignored, to be invisible at home." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "Invisible? I gave you everything. Paid our rent, cooked your meals, supported your dream while you auditioned for indie plays and filmed self-tapes in our bedroom. And you repay me by screwing your boss and your camera guy in the same shoot." She looked down. I saw her lips tremble. But I didn't care anymore. I turned and walked away before she could speak again. I didn't want apologies. I didn't want explanations. I just wanted out. I wanted my life back. Or at least whatever pieces of it hadn't been stained by her lies.
I didn't go back to the motel that night. I drove aimlessly through the outskirts of Austin, radio off, windows down, letting the summer air slice through the fog in my head. I kept seeing her face, the way she didn't deny it, the way she said he believed in me, like that justified everything, like my years of support didn't count, like emotional validation from a stranger excused betrayal. By the time I pulled over at a roadside diner sometime after midnight, I hadn't cried. Not yet. I think part of me still hadn't accepted it. I ordered coffee I didn't drink and stared blankly at the TV mounted above the counter. They were showing behind-the-scenes clips of upcoming Netflix projects. I kid you not, 30 seconds in, there she was, Emily, smiling for the camera, talking about how this role pushed me creatively and the team felt like family. My stomach turned. That same fucking word, family. She had no idea how deeply she twisted the knife. I got back to LA the next afternoon. I didn't text her, didn't call, didn't leave a note. I walked into our apartment, packed half my shit into boxes, and moved into a friend's spare room in Silver Lake. I didn't care if she came back to an empty bed. I hope she did. I wanted her to feel the void she'd created. I filed for separation 2 days later. My lawyer said if I had proof, we could go full divorce and even make a case for financial misconduct since she technically used shared funds during her affair. I gave him the folder Marcus assembled. Photos, videos, transcripts. I felt numb watching him click through it, like I was showing him a documentary about someone else's disaster. "This is comprehensive," he said. "You sure you want to go public with this? I'm done hiding." She didn't care who saw her lies. Why should I protect her? A week later, Emily called. I let it go to voicemail. Then she texted. Just 2 words. "We need to talk." I ignored it. Then came the email. Long, dramatic, desperate. She read about how the industry changed her, how she didn't plan to hurt me, how she missed who we used to be. She blamed pressure, loneliness, insecurity. She blamed herself. She blamed me. She said maybe if I had been more attentive, if I had been more romantic, more engaged, she wouldn't have looked elsewhere. That's when I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. Classic cheater logic. Burn the house down, then complain it was too cold inside. I didn't reply. Instead, I did something impulsive. I posted the story anonymously on a Reddit forum called r/surviving infidelity. I shared everything. The betrayal, the hotel footage, the emotional manipulation, the production secrets. I didn't name her, but I described just enough for people to know. The post exploded. Hundreds of comments, support, outrage. A few people even guessed her identity based on the Netflix project. I didn't care. For the first time in months, I felt seen. I felt heard. And then something unexpected happened. Someone messaged me privately. A woman who claimed to be part of the hair and makeup team on Red Light. She said, "I know who you are. I'm sorry about what happened. But you should know it wasn't just Julian and Daly. There were more." More. That word hit harder than the first confession. She said Emily had a reputation on set. The people joked about her being the real main character because she spent more time in hotel rooms than on camera. She said Emily knew exactly what she was doing, that it was power, control, leverage. And worst of all,
She said Julian's wife found out too. I sat there, rereading that message until my eyes blurred. Emily didn't just betray me. She nuked everything around her. And for what? A few weeks of attention? A flickering taste of fame wrapped in lust? That night, I looked through our wedding photos. I don't know why I tortured myself like that. Maybe I was trying to remember the version of her I once believed in. The Emily who clutched my hand in the rain when we couldn't afford an umbrella. The Emily who cried when I bought her a used car because she thought it was too much. The Emily who whispered, "Forever," against my chest when we moved into our first apartment. But that Emily was dead, replaced, buried under ambition, desire, ego, and betrayal. I clicked delete. Every photo, every file, every trace of her in my digital life.
A few weeks passed. The divorce papers were in motion, and Emily still hadn't come back to LA. Not physically, at least, but her presence lingered like smoke in my lungs. Familiar, toxic, impossible to fully exhale. Her name showed up in random places. An online article praising the emerging brilliance of her performance in Red Light. A podcast where the host joked about the onset romance that might have sparked some extra chemistry. And then, worst of all, a goddamn billboard on Sunset Boulevard with her face plastered 10 feet tall, eyes staring straight down at the traffic like she owned the city now. And maybe, in some ways, she did. The show was gaining traction. Netflix had dropped teasers, and somehow she was front and center in nearly every one of them. Her smile, her voice, her monologues, all over YouTube, all over TikTok. I couldn't escape her. But then came the twist. Julian Cross's wife filed for divorce, and it made the headlines. The official statement was sterile, vague, irreconcilable differences. But gossip blogs ran wild with theories. One name kept coming up. Emily Keller, my wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife. I watched the chaos unfold like a spectator at a house fire I didn't start but secretly enjoyed. Netflix tried to do damage control. Julian was put on a break from press appearances. PR statements came out emphasizing professional boundaries. But the whispers were louder than the denials. Emily's Instagram comments turned brutal. People accused her of being a homewrecker, a fame-hungry manipulator, a fraud. She turned off comments. Then she posted a photo, black and white, no caption, a headshot, staring off into the void like she was the victim. I couldn't help myself. I created a burner account and typed, "You used everyone around you. Hope it was worth it." I deleted it before hitting send. I didn't want to become part of her circus. I just wanted her gone from my life. But she wasn't done with me. One night, close to midnight, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it ring out. Then came the voicemail. Her voice, shaky, tired. "I don't know if you'll ever listen to this. I know I messed up. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know it wasn't just sex. With Julian, with Day, it wasn't about them. It was about me. I felt powerful for once. I felt seen. I didn't think about how much I was hurting you. I was selfish, and now I can't undo any of it." I listened to it twice, then deleted it. I didn't want her voice in my head anymore. I didn't care if she was sorry. Sorry wouldn't fix what she shattered. Around the same time, Marcus, the PI, sent me one final update. "You might find this interesting," he wrote. Attached was a PDF, a non-disclosure agreement. It was dated 3 months earlier and signed by Julian Cross and Emily Keller. It included a clause about personal interactions and confidential engagement outside of production hours. Marcus explained that this kind of NDA was sometimes used by execs to silence affair allegations or prevent HR fallout. My stomach turned. She'd known this would come out. She'd prepared for it. And she never once told me, not even when she was still sleeping in my bed. I forwarded the document to my lawyer. He said it might help if Emily tried to go after spousal support. She's made enough career moves, he said, but just in case, this protects you. I closed the email. That night, for the first time since everything began, I slept through the night. No nightmares, no dreams, just a heavy, quiet blackness that felt almost like peace. Almost. A week later, a box showed up at my new place. No return address, just my name.
I opened it cautiously. Inside were a few books, a hoodie I'd left at her place, and a framed photo of us from our wedding day. Me in a wrinkled tux, her laughing as wind caught her veil. Taped to the back of the frame was a note. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I wanted you to know you were the only real thing I ever had. I'm sorry I destroyed it. No name, no signature, but I knew the handwriting. I put the frame in a drawer. Didn't hang it, didn't smash it, just buried it where it couldn't hurt me anymore. The past was hers now. The future was mine.
The premiere came faster than I expected. Red Light dropped on a Thursday night, and by Friday morning it was already trending #1 on Netflix US. I tried to avoid it at first. I blocked every keyword, muted every name, but curiosity is a sick addiction. By Saturday I gave in. I poured myself a drink, sat in the dark, and clicked play. The opening scene was cinematic, intense, brilliant even. Then she appeared, Emily, in slow motion. Her face filled the screen, drenched in artificial rain and red light, her voice calm and haunting as she delivered the first line of the show. I felt my chest tighten. She was good. She was damn good. That was the worst part. Her talent made everything harder to hate. For 42 minutes, I watched the woman who betrayed me transform into a character the world would fall in love with. And they did. Social media exploded with praise. Critics called her the breakout performance of the year. She was invited to late-night shows, red carpet interviews. Variety did a feature calling her the dangerous new face of American thrillers. I watched her lie through every smile. Every interview, she spoke about hard work and finding strength through vulnerability. She cried once during a podcast when talking about loss. The host didn't ask what she meant. I knew. She was selling our tragedy as character depth, turning my pain into branding. I wasn't sure if I was more heartbroken or impressed, but the world loved her, and that changed everything, because now people wanted to know more. Paparazzi followed her everywhere. The affair rumors kept boiling under the surface, and for a while she tried to dodge them, until TMZ dropped it. They leaked a blurred video of her entering Julian Cross's hotel room. They didn't say it was her, but the internet knew. Within hours, Emily Keller scandal was trending on X. Netflix panicked. Julian was dropped from a future directing deal. Emily released a vague statement about professional challenges and personal growth. Her team tried to spin it, but the public wasn't stupid. Fans were split. Some defended her, calling it sexist double standards. Others tore her apart. Netflix didn't cancel the show. It was too profitable. But the damage was done. She started disappearing from press appearances, stopped posting. Her name became mud in some circles, and gold in others. Controversy sells, but it doesn't heal. Meanwhile, my life was quiet. Boring, and I loved it. I took long walks, went back to the gym, had dinner with friends without glancing at my phone. I even started therapy, something I swore I'd never do. I told my therapist everything, the betrayal, the shame, the guilt, the numbness. She listened, didn't interrupt, then said something that stuck. You weren't just mourning her, you were mourning who you thought you were in that relationship. And she was right. I'd built my identity around being the good guy, the supportive husband, the rock. And when that image shattered, it wasn't just Emily I lost. It was the version of myself I believed in. Healing wasn't linear. Some nights I still woke up sweating, heart pounding, memories slamming into me like a freight train. Other nights I slept like I hadn't in years. I stopped checking her socials, unfollowed every connection we shared. It took time, but the obsession began to fade. Slowly, quietly. Then one morning, months after the premiere of the show, I got an email. It was from a journalist. She said she was writing an expose on the behind-the-scenes scandal of Red Light, that multiple crew members had come forward and my name had surfaced. She wanted a quote. I almost ignored it. Almost. But then I thought about every man who had been gaslit, blamed, manipulated into silence. I thought about all the people who still thought Emily was some misunderstood starlet. So I said yes. I told my story, not to get revenge, but to reclaim my truth.
The article dropped a week later. It was brutal, honest, unfiltered. They changed my name, blurred some details, but anyone close enough would recognize the truth. The piece went viral. And for once, I didn't feel ashamed. I felt free. A few days later, my lawyer called. "She's backing off," he said. "No fight, no demands. It's over." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. "Good," I said. "That's what I wanted." "You sure? No last words? No statement?" I smiled. She said enough for both of us. And that was it. No more court. No more letters. No more Emily. Just silence. And peace.
The months that followed were the quietest of my life. No more press, no more lawyers, no more late-night voicemails or packages arriving with some pathetic apology attached. It was just me, alone in a one-bedroom apartment in Culver City, eating takeout on the floor because I still hadn't bought a damn table. But somehow, it felt like the first real version of myself I'd met in years. I didn't have to pretend anymore. I didn't have to play the good husband, the understanding partner, the guy who smiled through betrayal for the sake of someone else's dream. I could finally just be real. I started reading again. Took weekend trips to places I'd always ignored. Joshua Tree, Big Sur. I didn't bring my phone half the time, just a notebook and some music. It's funny, when you're in the middle of heartbreak, you think this silence will kill you. But eventually, you start craving it. One morning, I was sipping coffee on the steps outside my building when a neighbor stopped to say hello. Her name was Mia. She had this calm, grounded energy. Nothing like the chaotic magnetism that Emily had wielded like a weapon. We talked, just a few minutes, about the weather, the coffee shop down the street, some guy in the building who always played guitar too loud at night. The next day, we talked again, then again. It was easy, simple, human. I didn't tell her anything about Emily. Not yet. Not because I was hiding it, but because for once, I didn't want to define myself by someone else's damage. I wanted to be more than what she left behind. But the past always finds a way back. One evening, I got a call from a friend I hadn't heard from in over a year. "Dude," he said, "you need to see this." He sent me a link. It was a trailer for season 2 of Red Light. She was in it. Not just in it, promoted, front and center again, despite everything, despite the scandal. Netflix was doubling down. Or maybe she had negotiated her way back through PR gymnastics and contractual loopholes. Either way, she wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. I stared at the screen, her face frozen mid-expression. I expected anger, bitterness, but all I felt was distance, like I was looking at a stranger. I clicked out of the tab, deleted the link, then texted Mia, asked if she wanted to grab ramen. She said yes. We spent 3 hours talking about everything but the entertainment industry, and it felt good. Weeks passed. I saw Emily's face less and less in the media. Maybe the show didn't hit the same way. Maybe the audience finally saw through her. Or maybe I just stopped looking. Then one afternoon, I received a letter. A real one. Handwritten. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting instantly. My first instinct was to toss it. But I opened it. Just a single page. She said she was leaving LA, going to New York. Said she was taking time off. That everything caught up with her. That the fame wasn't what she thought it'd be. That she missed the girl who used to rehearse lines in our living room. She didn't ask for anything. Not forgiveness, not contact. Just space. A kind of closure, I guess. I read it twice, then folded it, slid it into a drawer, and never touched it again. That chapter was closed. Maybe she meant some of it, maybe she didn't. But it didn't matter anymore. I had nothing left to give her, and nothing I needed from her. I was already moving on. Not to replace her, but to rebuild me.
It's been over a year now. The divorce finalized, the legal mess long behind me, and Emily, well, she's become just another face on a screen. Sometimes I'll see her name in passing, an article, a podcast mention, a clip on someone's phone at the gym, but it barely registers anymore. Like hearing the name of a town you once drove through and never looked back. I never did reply to that last letter. I didn't feel the need. Silence became the most honest response I could give. There's a kind of freedom that comes when you finally let go of needing closure from the person who broke you. These days, my life is quiet, in the best way. I got a promotion at work, started helping out with a mentorship program for students interested in tech. I moved into a new place, bigger, brighter, filled with sunlight instead of shadows. And Mia? She's still around. We're taking it slow. No labels, no pressure, just presence. She knows the story now. I told her everything one night over takeout, half expecting her to pull away. But she didn't. She just listened, then placed her hand over mine and said, "You're still here." That says everything. I think about that a lot. I used to think survival was just about staying alive, but it's more than that. It's about showing up, waking up, choosing not to let the worst thing that happened to you be the definition of your life. I still carry the scars. I probably always will. But they don't bleed anymore. They're just reminders of what I lost and what I learned. Sometimes I wonder if Emily ever thinks about me, about the man who would have walked through fire for her. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. Either way, I'm not waiting for her memory to find me anymore. I've got my own story now. One where I'm the main character. One where betrayal was just the plot twist that set the real story in motion. So to anyone listening, to the late night scrollers, the silent sufferers, the ones pretending they're fine when they're barely breathing, hear me. You will survive this. You will stand again. You will heal. And one day, you'll look back not with pain, but with power. Because the person who hurt you doesn't get to write your ending. You do. And this is mine.